In this video, I'll demonstrate and explain user libraries in MotionWorks IEC. Hi, I'm Matt Pelletier. Here's a quick preview. A user library is a MotionWorks IEC project with function blocks that can be imported into another project. These can be Yaskawa's Toolbox user libraries, and the programmer can develop their own. It's easy to change the compile order, use tooltips, and check version information. Release versions lock the library from further edits, and uncompiled dependencies can be updated in one click. If you're new to libraries, this will be a great overview, and if you're a seasoned programmer, you just might pick up a trick or two. Now let's look at this in more detail. A user library is a MotionWorks IEC project that contains a collection of custom function blocks created by the programmer. Those custom blocks can be used in another project by importing the user library. This is an organized, robust, and rapid method to reuse sections of your code rather than attempting copy-paste between projects. Yaskawa has created a number of user libraries, which we call toolboxes, and have made these available at www.yaskawa.com/IECTB. The Toolbox libraries consist of many useful operations, common to all sorts of applications. And in MotionWorks IEC, when you start a new project, for example for the MP3300 IEC, that new project automatically includes data types, math, and PLC open, the most fundamental Toolbox libraries. The help file documents each block, but chances are you'll also have use for CAM, communications, file read-write, gantry, kinematics, PackML, VFD, and Yaskawa Toolbox. All you do is run the installer, and all the libraries will extract to the right place. We would strongly advise that any programmers spend a little time to become familiar with what's available in these toolboxes. This is totally worthwhile because it avoids having to recreate a lot of these same function blocks that you will probably end up needing anyway. A good place to start is right here at the top of the help under Toolbox Introduction, and each toolbox has a Getting Started section. The programmer, however, will eventually want to create customized function blocks that go beyond the functionality of these toolboxes anyway. The best way to reuse these is to collect the function blocks you've created into a single project, as I've done here in this example called YTTS library. There are a number of custom data types and custom function blocks here. And in the palette program, I've got an instance of every one just to be sure that it compiles. The software has a default library directory, as shown here. And that's the exact same directory where I have saved my library project. Now, back in my project, maybe I want to use those blocks. Now you see the libraries folder has red book icons, which are firmware libraries, and it's the blue book icons that are user libraries. To insert, be sure to choose user library. It looks in the default directory and pull up that library project. Now in the edit wizard, I have the YTTS library with all of those same blocks. Now I want to show a couple features related to library insertion and order. So I'm going to delete it and insert again. This time I'll select it, but I'm also going to select CAM toolbox at the same time. Okay. And what I want to point out here is that the order shown is the compile order. And if I were to compile this, I have an error, but you can drag these libraries to set the order. Now, with experience, you become familiar with the order that the libraries go in, but hardware configuration also takes care of that for you. Every time you save, you can watch here as the toolboxes are put in the correct order with your own library there at the bottom. Furthermore, I'd like to point out that if you have a group configured for a multi-axis mechanism, like I have here now, this selection to automatically manage group libraries will update the toolboxes to the highest version on your PC when you save. It also automatically adds the Y-coordinated motion and PLC Open Part 4 libraries. And likewise, if you don't have a group, it will remove those libraries too. The libraries are now all in order, and I've successfully compiled. I'm going to drop in the customized counter block I have here and point out that holding your cursor over the input or output shows the comment of that customized block. And if you hold the cursor over the block itself, it points to the name of the library that this block is taken from. And this is really useful when you have an unfamiliar project, or you find a project with a block that you want to use and you're not sure what library it's from. Now, often on these blocks, you can double click to look at the code inside, although that only works if the library is not password protected, which in this case it's not. Every user library has a version. For the Toolbox libraries, it's pretty obvious that the version is included in the name of the library itself, and right-click confirms the version number. This is important because you'll want to use the latest version for new projects, but still support customers with projects that use older versions. My own user library, although it's not shown in the name, it also has a version. And this is because every project properties includes a version tab. Even this project here, the properties, has a version number tab. Let me take a minute to explain using my own library. You can right-click on your user library, open it as a project, and I'll look at the properties under the version. And here I can arbitrarily set the version, for example, to version 100. This auto increment build number causes this final digit to increment every time I make the project. Okay, I'll show you that. I'll just make the project again. And even though I didn't make any changes, the version is now incremented to 101. You'll see the option to set the release date and mark this library project as released. Now, when a project is released, it prevents any further edits. I could try to change one of these, and it just can't be changed. Even if the code has compile errors, it still cannot be changed while it's released. So you'd have to be careful with this feature since there is no message indicating the reason that these edits are not possible. I'm going to go in there again and deselect released. Of course, there's also password protection. And password protection will give you individual control over the read and write properties for each POU in each section of your code. Back to my project, I can confirm the version of this library. Now let's talk about version control for zipping and unzipping a project. So to demonstrate that, I will save this project as a zipped project. I think I'll make a new folder for it. And here's the option, the zip option to zip user libraries. That means to include all of these blue library projects in this zipped file. And that's normally what you want. Zip. Now as time goes on, there's probably going to be changes to my user library. And they may be significant or they may not be. I'll make one that's not significant and make that. But now the version has changed. Now sometime later I want to open up that old version. When I unzip it to the same folder, it's going through and checking all those libraries to see what the version numbers are. When the version number is the same, you typically just don't extract the zipped library for all those similar conflicts. But it also catches the fact that the version of the library project in the zipped project is older than the version I already have. And so what you choose depends on the situation you are in. Replace existing would delete the version 102. So I would use that only if I'm sure I don't care about this existing version. If I'm not sure, I could rename the zipped library and keep both of these. Or I could stick with the existing version, in this case the newer one, and don't extract it like I did for the previous ones. I'm going to extract the zipped library with a new name. Just append the version 101 to the name. And now that's what you see in the project tree window, and the version information confirms that also. I think you'll conclude that there really is no substitute for good practices for version control. You'll want to develop library projects outside of the library's directory, include the version number in the project name, and back up every release as a zipped project. Often a user library depends on another library, and this is called a dependency. You can see this in my own library example here, as this library itself depends on the libraries in the project. So every time you insert this library into a project, your project has also got to include the libraries that this project uses. Okay, so back to the Feature Spotlight project. For example, I want to insert COM Toolbox. At first it seems fine with 0 errors, but as soon as I try to use one of the blocks, I'll get an error. Now if you open COM Toolbox and compare its dependencies, you notice that it uses YDeviceCom, which my project doesn't have. In fact, the Help Getting Started page for each toolbox lists the dependencies. So I'll go back to my project here and add this time the firmware library called YDeviceCom. Put that up at the top, and make is successful. One more feature of dependencies is sometimes libraries in your project are not compiled. I'll show you what that looks like here. It could just be that you were editing your library, and when a project's not compiled, there's a little asterisk next to the name. And if I were now to go back to the project, save those changes, now you see there's also the asterisk character next to this library, and if I attempt to compile it, it doesn't even try. It can tell that the library has not been compiled. Now you could go, and for each of those libraries with an asterisk, you could open them individually and compile them one by one. But under the Build menu, there is the option called Make Dependencies. And you see what this does. It's opening the library project, then coming back to your project, and makes the entire project. So it does that whole process automatically, saving you lots of time. Thanks for watching this video, and go to yaskawa.com/IECSW to download the latest version of MotionWorks IEC 3.